All right, ready to dive into a deep dive that's both delicious and surprisingly historical. We're talking all about chocolate, but more specifically, its fascinating connection to Valentine's Day.
Sounds like a sweet topic.
It really is, and you might be surprised to learn that this story stretches back millennia, way before heart-shaped boxes lined store
Oh,
shelves.
absolutely. What we think of as a simple treat actually has a past intertwined with ancient rituals, global exploration, and of course, love and romance.
Exactly, and it all starts with those unassuming cacao beans. Did you know they were once so valuable that some cultures actually used them as currency?
It's true. We're talking about the Mayans and Aztecs, civilizations that flourished in Mesoamerica centuries ago. They were the first to cultivate cacao trees, and to them, these beans were a gift from the gods, literally. They called cacao the food of the gods and used it in sacred ceremonies, often as a symbol of love and commitment.
Wow, so next time I bite into a chocolate bar, I should probably bow to the ancient cacao gods. But seriously, that reverence for chocolate is amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about how it was actually consumed back then?
Well, you can forget those sugary conceptions we enjoy today. They prepared cacao as a bitter beverage, often spiced with chilies and other seasonings.
Really?
Yeah, it was far from the sweet treat we know now.
Wow, that sounds like it would be an acquired taste. But I guess if you believe you're sipping on the nectar of the gods, it probably tastes a little bit better. So how did this divine drink make its way across the ocean to Europe?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Enter the Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century. Picture this. Hernan Cortés arrives in the Aztec Empire, encounters this strange, bitter drink, and somehow sees its value. He brings cacao beans back to Spain, and that's where chocolate's European journey begins.
So we have Spanish explorers to thank for satisfying our modern-day chocolate cravings. That's wild. But wait, I've got to ask about Montezuma, the Aztec emperor. Legend has it that he drank gallons of cacao every day.
Well, it is said that he consumed copious amounts of cacao, especially before visiting his wives.
Oh.
Yeah. Though the exact details might be exaggerated over time, it highlights how deeply ingrained cacao was in Aztec culture, even at the highest levels of society.
Wow, talk about a dedicated chocolate lover. It goes to show how differently cultures throughout history have viewed and used chocolate. And we're back, continuing our deep dive into the fascinating history of chocolate, from ancient rituals to its modern-day association with love and romance. Before the break, we were talking about those Spanish conquistadors bringing cacao back to Europe. But let's be honest, a bitter drink doesn't exactly scream Valentine's Day. So how did that transformation happen?
You're right, a bitter drink wasn't going to win any hearts in Europe. But the Europeans were clever. They started experimenting, adding sugar, spices like vanilla and cinnamon, even honey to make it more palatable. Imagine the bustling kitchens of European nobility experimenting with this exotic new beverage.
So they basically invented the mocha latte, centuries before Starbucks. I can get behind that. But when did chocolate make the leap from a drink to those solid bars we all know and love?
That evolution took centuries. In the 17th century, chocolate houses started popping up in England and other parts of Europe, becoming social hubs where people could gather and indulge in this luxurious beverage. Then, in the 19th century, everything changed thanks to the invention of the cocoa press.
Okay, tech talk. How did the cocoa press revolutionize the chocolate game?
Imagine this. Before the cocoa press, chocolate making was a labor-intensive process. This new invention separated cocoa solids from cocoa butter, making it possible to create smooth, solid chocolate bars. It was a game changer, leading to the mass production of chocolate and making it more affordable for everyone.
From a drink of emperors to an everyday treat. The power of innovation. But we still haven't gotten to the love connection. How did chocolate go from a beverage enjoyed in fancy chocolate houses to the go-to gift for Valentine's Day?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. In the 18th century, the tradition of exchanging handwritten love notes on Valentine's Day was gaining popularity. Chocolate, seen as a luxurious and indulgent treat, became a natural accompaniment to these heartfelt messages.
So it's all about adding a touch of sweetness to those declarations of love. But it wasn't until the 19th century, right, when a certain Mr. Cadbury stepped onto the scene.
Exactly. Richard Cadbury, a visionary chocolatier, saw an opportunity. He introduced beautifully decorated, heart-shaped boxes designed specifically for Valentine's Day. Can you imagine the impact of receiving a gift so beautifully presented?
What a brilliant marketing move. Cadbury really understood the power of presentation, so those heart-shaped boxes took off. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Pretty much. Cadbury's innovation solidified the association between chocolate and Valentine's Day, turning it into the quintessential gift for expressing love and affection.
So we've covered the history, the journey from ancient rituals to mass production and those iconic heart-shaped boxes. But what about the science behind this love affair with chocolate? Is there a real reason why we associate it with romance, or is it all just clever marketing and pretty packaging? We'll unravel that mystery right after this short break. And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into the delicious world of chocolate and its fascinating connection to Valentine's Day.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. We've journeyed from ancient rituals to mass production and those irresistible heart-shaped boxes. But before we get carried away by all the romance, let's talk about the science behind this chocolate love affair.
You're right. There's a really fascinating chemical reason why we associate chocolate with feelings of happiness and even love.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
It all comes down to a compound called phenylethylamine, or PEA for short.
PEA. Is that what makes my heart skip a beat when someone hands me a box of truffles?
Well, not quite a skipped heartbeat, but it does play a role in those feel-good vibes. You see, PEA stimulates the release of endorphins in the brain. Those are the magical chemicals associated with pleasure and happiness. And guess what? Endorphins are also released when we experience feelings of love and attraction.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just me being weak-willed when I reach for that extra piece of chocolate. There's actual brain chemistry at play.
Exactly.
Okay, but is chocolate really an aphrodisiac, or is that just clever marketing?
That's the million-dollar question. While chocolate does contain PEA and other mood-boosting compounds like serotonin, the aphrodisiac debate is complex. There's a strong psychological component at play, too. The cultural associations, the romantic gestures, the sheer enjoyment of a delicious treat.
Right, right. So it's a combination of factors, the brain chemistry, the cultural context, and maybe even a little bit of wishful thinking.
Exactly.
But speaking of context, we can't ignore the ethical side of our chocolate obsession. We've come a long way from those ancient cacao ceremonies, and today there are real concerns about sustainability and ethical sourcing.
Absolutely. Thankfully, there's a growing movement toward responsible chocolate production. Many companies are now prioritizing sustainable cacao sourcing, working directly with farmers, and ensuring fair labor practices.
Oh, that's great to hear. So it's not just about indulging our sweet tooth anymore, it's about making conscious choices that align with our values. Are there any specific brands that are leading the way in ethical chocolate production that our listeners should know about?
Absolutely. Companies like Lindt, Toblerone, and Ferrero are at the forefront of this movement. They're committed to sustainable practices, fair trade, and reducing their environmental impact.
Good to know. So next time you're picking out that perfect Valentine's Day gift, remember to flip the box over and see what's really inside, both literally and figuratively. It's about savoring those decadent flavors while also being mindful of the impact our choices have on the world.
Well said. And perhaps that's the sweetest takeaway of all, that something as simple as a chocolate bar can connect us to a rich history, a fascinating scientific story, and a global community.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. So the next time you unwrap a piece of chocolate, no matter what time of year it is, take a moment to appreciate its long journey from ancient rituals to modern sustainability, from the science of happiness to the sweetness of love. It's a delicious reminder that even the smallest indulgences can have a profound impact on ourselves and the world around us.